Okay, Econ class, after looking at some of the budgets that we're working with, I thought it would be important for me to show you some features of the Google Sheets budget that they already have created and to walk you through some of the steps here that could really help you set up a personal budget as well as give you a little more tools and guidance for our projects. So when you look into Google Sheets, if you got a Google account, you should have access to this. Just type into Google Sheets, and it will bring this up. If you are signed in, your little logo icon should be over here in the top right corner. And that way you can make sure that you save everything. You'll notice here that there are a number of different spreadsheets that I have that are saved, none of which are going to apply to you right now. But there are a number of templates in here. You really want to focus on the one that is a monthly budget. Now, if you're already using an Excel spreadsheet or you're using a different calculated spreadsheet, that's fine if you're comfortable with it. But if you're not currently using something, I'm going to highly recommend that you come and you use one of these tools here. So when I click on the monthly budget, I want you to see some things that show up here for you. There are some instructions that tell you how to get started. And so for this project and for what we are working with, you do not have a starting balance. So we're just going to zero this out right there. You don't have anything already in your savings that we're working with. As you take a look at the budget that's put together for you, they have some starting categories. Now, you may not use all of these, and it even gives you the option down here to customize a category. If there's something missing from this particular spreadsheet that you want to include, then please add it down in there so that way you can have a more personal budget that fits to your projects and that fits to your preferences. If there's something in here that they included that you don't believe you need, then you don't have to put anything in there, and that's okay. But for some of you, your budgets are very thin, and you need to think a little bit bigger and think a little bit more long term for the expenses that you're going to have. And this is a great time to have a conversation with one of your parents about what your budget looks like compared to real life. Now, I would even say that this particular budget here is kind of bare minimum. If you don't have these things on there, then you're definitely missing some things. Some of you may be more detailed, and that's great. I want you to be as detailed as you possibly can. But at the bare minimum, these are the things that we should have in our budget. So as you take a look at these things, they have most of the basics in here. They default have about $950 planned for your home, and so you can adjust that as you need to. But the salmon colored or pink colored tiles are the ones that you're going to want to put in there as your planned expenses. That's what you think it's going to cost. When you get to finding out what your real costs are, that's where you're going to include something in the actual, and then it's going to automatically calculate the difference for you when you do some of your research. And that will tell you how close you were, how far away you are. Now, you can modify the planned side of this as much as you need to as the projects happen, but make sure that once you have discovered how much it costs for your groceries, that you don't change it then the next month and revert back to a lower cost just to help save some money somewhere else. So if you have a question on that, come see me. So let me just show you a couple things about how this would work for you. When we look at your paycheck, we're going to modify this here to $3,500 because that's what we're giving you to start off with. And you'll notice here that the actual number is 1,500. Well, we need to modify that because there's nothing there that's going to change in the simulation. So as we look at the bottom tab, there's a transactions button. I want you to go there and take a look at your income in this spreadsheet is $1,500. That's where the sheet is getting the information from. So we want to change that here to 3,500. And now when we switch back to the summary page, that comes out the way it should, and there's a zero difference. So as we start putting in items here, and let's just say that we're going to have $100 a week for food. So we're going to plan $400 there. I do want to give my family gifts. I like to do that. I like to have money set aside for Christmas. And so I'm going to put in, let's say, $20 every month into a gifts fund. That would probably be a good idea. I don't know that I saw that on anybody's budget. Maybe that's something you want to think about adding there. My company is paying for my health insurance. However, I do have a copay that I have to pay for, and there are other medical expenses that I may not plan for. So I'm going to put in there about $50 a month to put aside so that when I do need it, it is there for me. I'm going to keep it about $950 for my home expense. I think that would be just fine. Transportation costs, I'm going to include a car payment or a savings plan for that car that I'm going to buy down the road. And for that, I'm going to put about $250 in there. Now, if I already have the car and I'm saving up for a new car, I have to include things like my insurance on that car. I have to include things like fuel for the car. I have to get my oil changed a couple times a year, and so I need to make sure that I have money saved in a service or maintenance account in there. So, all in all, I'm going to put about $400 in there just as an estimate. My personal expenses there, for me, as a guy, I'm probably not going to have a whole lot of personal expenses. However, my wife, she may have a few more things, So just kind of think about that. Personal expenses can be anything from your toiletries to things that you use on a daily basis. It could even be some fun things that that every once in a while you're going to go out and you're going to get a Starbucks or something like that. So for my personal expenses, let's just say 125, give or take a little bit there. I do not own a pet. I'm going to leave that at 0. You may have a pet, or that may be a priority for you. You may want to include something in there. Utilities, I'm thinking here electric, water, gas, and trash removal. So for all those combined, again, you are probably going to be guesstimating in here. Let's just put in there about $300. Okay. Travel. If you plan to take a vacation or think you would like to, you probably need to have a savings account specified for vacation or travel. Or maybe you have family members that you go to see every year at Christmas. You have to have that money before you can just hop on a plane or get in the car and drive to grandma's house. So I'm going to put money in there every month. And for this, I'm just going to throw $75 in there. And we will plan that out a little bit later if we do one of those projects. For debt, Dave Ramsey would never want you to have anything in here for your debt, but we are not all Dave Ramsey. You may have a college loan that you will have to pay off. So I want you to think long term, and I want you to think about your actual college plans. Unless you have a full ride scholarship, or unless mom and dad have said that they are paying for all of your college expenses, or unless you are planning to pay for all of those college expenses yourself out of your own pocket, then that probably means that you're going to end up with a college loan. That loan has to be paid back. So you need to think about that. If this simulation is encouraging you to look at a couple years out of college, you're going to have a loan that you're going to have to pay off. A lot of times those college loans are somewhere around $50 to $100 a month, depending upon how much you have taken out on that loan. So I'm just going to throw $50 in there as the debt that I have to pay. Now, you may have other debt that has ridden with you, credit card debt, or something else that you may have that you need to take care of or you think you might have. Hopefully you don't have a whole lot of debt coming to college other than maybe a college loan. That would be it. This other category, that's up to you if you've got something else you want to put in there. Many of you were looking at Netflix or cable, cell phone. You might want to put that in there. In fact, I'm going to include that one right here. Cell phone, cable, internet, and that one there, I'm gonna run that one probably about $200 for all of those together. Custom category. Now they don't have anything in here for tithe or giving for church, so I'm going to make sure to include that, and we'll do the standard 10% for that right now. And then if you have other things that you want to add to that, you certainly could. So right now I look at my planned spending is $2,920 out of my total $3,500. So, oh, I did not put anything for savings in here, did I? Probably should do that. So what I'm looking at here, if I just do the math here from my 2,920, I'm going to have $580 that I can be putting into savings, and that should give me my 3,500 that I have planned out. So then when I start looking at the actual balance, I'm going to go to the transactions and I'm going to put that in here. What do we said? 950 for rent. And I can start listing those things in as you do these projects and as you make changes to them. And so that will be reflected then on your actual budget. So this is just one of the tools that's available there for you. Play with it a little bit, get familiar with it. If you can get in the habit of using a tool like this and saving it in your personal finances, it will help you down the road when you are doing this for real. And I hope that what you do in class will translate to the finances that you have in your own personal life, because having it on paper and seeing it in front of you is very different than just having it in your mind and thinking that you know what's happening. Until you can actually see it and write it out, it's very different.